Let's start with the with Saturday's game. You missed it, of course. You got a rest for the first time this season. Just how much did you enjoy just having a bit of a break?
I probably enjoyed it more than my missus, if I'm honest. She was devastated that I was in the house. Yeah, and I don't really like missing games, if I'm honest, but I do think it was probably a great opportunity to allow Luke some game time. And also, I think it was a similar sort of time last year where I did get a little injury and that set us back. So it was probably the right time to do that in terms of the kind of game, the amount of games we've had up to that and what we've got coming up over Christmas and the New Year. So it was probably the right decision. But yeah, it's always frustrating not to play. Given that, the lads have gone up there and done a really professional performance and got a result that, from what I understand, the performance thoroughly deserved.
And yeah, I think you just touched on it there. The fact that it's come at a pretty good time going into a relatively busy Christmas and New Year period.
Yeah, Christmas is always a very busy one. I think this year, I do believe they've maybe missed a trick a little bit with the majority of clubs not really allowing fans, and I would imagine there's maybe only 5 or 6 clubs that have fans these days, but I don't really see the need for us to play Saturday, Monday, Saturday. No fans can come to the game, so why not just push it back from Monday and have a similar week? It's still hard enough physically to play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, let alone bring it forward and play on Monday. I understand it's a bank holiday, but like we just said, people aren't able to come to the game anyway. So it does make it a little bit confusing, but it's just one of them things we have to deal with and we have to get through it. We've known from the start of the season that's always going to be the case, and anyone that's in football's known for a long time that it's always the case.
And how are you finding it playing in front of nobody, no fans in the stadiums? Just how surreal is it?
It definitely is strange. I've not really found it as bad because, funny, when I was at Blackpool, we didn't get many fans as it was, and we had a pretty big stadium similar to the size of this. So since I've left there, fans have gone back. But at the time I was there, home games, we didn't get a lot of fans. So you kind of have a bit of experience of not playing in front of too many. But yeah, it's completely bizarre sometimes and difficult in terms of showing your emotion when you do win, when you score, because part of that emotion is actually sharing it with the fans that are there. And then you can see in other leagues where it maybe doesn't have the same effect playing at home as what it would usually. I mean, this is a horrible place to come and play as an away team when we play the football we do and the fans are rocking. I mean, last year they were fantastic at home, and teams, although they'll have enjoyed coming here and playing because it was a big spectacle, that have found it very difficult because of the whole scenario. So sometimes you lose that, and then not us, but you add in kind of the VAR situation. It's been so strange this year. You just seem to have lost so much emotion from what is such an emotive game.
Yeah, we'll touch on VAR probably another day because we'll be talking about it for hours. Let's talk about you kept a lot of clean sheets recently. You was part of a back five. What's clicked?
Do you know what? Even before that, when we wasn't keeping as many clean sheets, the majority of the games we were only conceding one, or there was the odd one, and we were defending very well. It was just the 1 or 2 chances we were giving away were very clear-cut chances. Or it was a ball into the box where they've won 2 first contacts, which, when that happens, kind of the chance of a goal being scored increases dramatically. I do think for a period of time we have defended really well. It's just unfortunate how the game's unfolded that we have. It was the same with the Boreham Wood game. We defended fantastically for 89 minutes of the game. The 1 goal came from a ball into the box. We lost the first contact. We lost the second contact, goal. So I think it has to be said, for a while we have been defending well, especially after the first kind of few games of the season. We struggled to start with. We wasn't at our best. But the last few weeks, we've definitely dominated games a lot more, from my opinion. And just the desire of everybody on the pitch to want to keep that clean sheet. It starts from the front and it feeds all the way back. I think one of the things has to be said as well is we conceded a few goals from set plays and things like that. Since Ben Turner's come back into the team, he's done fantastic, and I really believe that should be said. He's done very well, and he's been solid at the back and really brings a presence in aerial duels and stuff. And it's great to see that we are actually putting them performances and teaming them with clean sheets.
Yeah, you mentioned Ben Turner there. I know he had a bit of a rough time earlier in the season, at the back end of last season, but it seems like his performances of late have been pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, look, Ben's a very experienced footballer. He's the same as a lot of players at this club. And any time in football, people go through ups and downs. You have peaks in form and you have drops in form. That happens. That's unfortunate. He obviously took a little bit of grief, and credit to Ben as a man. He's a very honest person, and he would say that, and he wouldn't shy away from it. He's been fantastic around the place. He's been brilliant on the training ground. I was genuinely gutted for him against Halifax because I thought he came on at half time and he was unbelievable for 46 minutes probably, and unfortunately an error led to an equaliser, but the way that he's responded to that and the way that he's been performing is credit to him as a person, not necessarily his talent. Like, his personality is brilliant to have around, and yeah, his performances they've been worthy of the guy that we see every day and on the training ground. And I think that should be the players that haven't been in the team and a lot of the players that played on Saturday, they should really take heart from that, because Ben's missed a bit of football between the end of last season and the start of this season, and they should look at that and say, well, that's what we should aspire to be. The guy's had a great career, and he only does that by the way he acts and the way he puts himself about on the training pitch and whatever, day in, day out. And if they can do that, which, not saying they haven't, they have done, and that showed on Saturday. If they can do that, us as a club are in a great situation. Yeah,
and just how satisfied are you as a group of players with the progress that you've made so far going into the new year?
I think that's the best term, the progress. The gaffer with us, and I'm sure with you guys as well, you get the feeling he is a perfectionist. You'll do a brilliant performance, and he will want better, and that's a great character to have and a personality trait to have, because there's no settling for anything. We always want to be better, and we want to become the best package we can. I think the way in most seasons, teams, you want that quick start, but if you can progress throughout the season and you can give yourself the opportunity in a normal season around Christmas and just after Christmas and be in the mix, and you're on that kind of scale where you're gradually improving performances and results, that puts you in a great position. I mean, the kind of successful seasons I've had in the past with teams, we've kind of followed that curve. We've started maybe a little bit slow, even though the quality's there, but the progression's been quick, and then we've come to Christmas and after Christmas and just kind of hit a nice run of form in towards the end of the season. If we can do that, the quality that we have in this club, and then we can match it with the intensity and the desire in games, there's no reason why we can't be right in the business end of things.
Yeah, I agree completely. And very, very finally, obviously we're going into sort of a new tiering system during this pandemic, which has pretty much taken hold of 2020. As a player and as a group of players, how important is it that Notts are doing everything they can to keep you guys safe, both on and off the pitch?
I think we have to understand that this club has been fantastic with the procedures they've put in place. I don't know what's going on at other clubs. I've just seen on the news that the Premier League have now decided that they're going to test Premier League teams twice every week that are in Tier 4 and then bump it up after Christmas. But that's what this club was doing when we came back for the playoffs. We were being tested twice a week. So the procedures that they put in place, and that's credit to the staff in the office, to Jason, to the gaffer, that has allowed the players to feel confident and safe in the environment. The media team themselves, that they've had to adjust things separately. They've found a space that they can use, just stuff like this. I think the procedures they've put in place are brilliant. And us as players coming in, it's allowed us not even to have to think too much about that. We can just stay concentrating on the football side of it. And as soon as you can do that, you're providing an environment and a platform for the very best performance available.
All right, that's fantastic. Appreciate your time, Sam, and wish you a Merry Christmas.
No, you too.
I'll see you soon. Cheers.
Hi, mate.
Hi, Lee.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Yeah. Just on the club's current form at the moment, Sam. I just spoke to Neil about this, but obviously last Christmas you had a great run of form, real good vein of good run of results, and it set you up for the second half of the season. Does it feel like you're sort of in that place again now?
Yeah, I think the feeling around the dressing room is it's very positive and joyful. But I think the difference between last year and this year is there's kind of a steely focus about the squad. It was well spoken about. I think Ben touched on it with you guys a couple of weeks ago, or maybe last week, about we sat down as a group and the gaffer spoke about a few things that he thought we needed to improve on and a few things that we were good at.
Yeah. Definitely
off the back of that, there has been a bit more of an intense focus on the job that's at hand, and it is seen day in, day out, and that can only be a positive. I mean, if we can continue this form over Christmas, the way that games come thick and fast, it's a great opportunity to kind of put points on the board very quickly. And I think you saw from last year, points on the board are probably the best way of putting pressure on other teams.
Yeah.
And if we can do that again, I think we'll be in a great position. I just want to repeat what I'd said previous, that if you're in the mix around Christmas and you're in good form, that usually is a brilliant kind of level and a starting base to give you a successful end of season.
Yeah, I mean, I remember last Christmas. I mean, Notts weren't in this position last year, were they? You know, I think we were outside of the top seven at that stage, and then obviously went on that remarkable run. But here you're already in the top three. You're 9 points off the leaders, and you 1 defeat in 8, 5 clean sheets out of 6. I mean, that feels pretty good. Sorry, that's my lad.
Nah, don't worry about it.
I mean that must feel pretty good.
Yeah, the defensive side of it from a personal point of view is massive. I would, if we won 5-4, that'd be happy for me. The bonus is that we are keeping clean sheets, but I think that also reflects on kind of the whole performance and the desire of the team to want to grind out those results, as well as winning the 5-4s and being all pretty and really expansive football. There's that edge of us now where we're happy to go into a game and win it 1-0 because a team comes here and sits back and we grind it out and we nick a last minute goal. We've got that determination within us and almost that patience as well within a game. Football is 2 teams, so you have to understand you're not going to thoroughly dominate every game. There are going to be spells. And I think in that 8 games, have we won a couple 1-0? And there may be the results last year we wasn't getting, or we were drawing 0-0 or losing. So that is the biggest positive of them in my point of view. And the lads coming into the team, they know that they've got to show that same desire.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously Ben touched upon it after the interview following the Stockport game. When Neil spoke about having the bloody mindedness to go on and push and be consistent in terms of what's required for a promotion race. How did that go down? Because Ben said a few of the players didn't feel offended by it, but it was almost like, okay, he doesn't say these things very often, so we've got to go and show him.
Yeah, I don't want to say he's not a man of many words because he is. He speaks very well, but the gaffer doesn't have a lot of empty words, if that makes sense. He doesn't say things just for the sake of it. He'll have conversation with you, but if it's about something serious in terms of the games and stuff, he says it because he means it and he sees it and he can back it up. He doesn't just say it for the sake of it. So when you hear things like that come from the gaffer and the type of person he is, and in football, the majority of players, they all have an ego, whether they say they do or they don't. That probably did hurt some people. I think the lads that have been in the game a little bit longer, that have been frustrated at that being not labelled, but put on you, because a lot of them won't have been in that, wouldn't have had that question before. But it also kind of made a statement to the younger lads as well and say, look, like, you might have an ego, but so what? We need to get better. And this is the reason. And I think it's been a really good reaction from that, from the lads in the squad.
Yeah. And just in terms of the manager himself, I mean, obviously you've worked under him now for over a year. What separates him from sort of other managers? Because Ben said something interesting last week. He said he's a proper student of the game.
Yeah, you can tell that football is probably on his brain easily like 80% of the time. When he's in work as well, he is thoroughly in work. He's not here just to... there are times where people are around the ground just passing time. I don't see that from the gaffer. If he's here, he's working, he studies into things, he looks into things. He's always looking for new ways to improve us as a squad or improve us as a person and things like that. So I would thoroughly agree on what Ben says. He is a student of the game. The other side that I do think as well is there's not many managers out there that probably... He sees us as people as well as footballers.
And that makes a world of difference, doesn't it?
Definitely. If you believe that your manager has your best interests at heart, whether it be because of your job or because of you as a person, you're going to want to work for them far more than you are if they just expect you to get the job done no matter what, even if it's to the detriment of your personal life. And I think that is a great quality to have, and the gaffer is very good with that. I've had a couple that do have it, but most of the people that I've seen within football, when the pressure gets on, that's the first thing that is kind of forgotten, that we are people as well as footballers, and the gaffer does do that, which I think is a great quality.
It's interesting to know. I mean, obviously, before you came, the transformation in football has been, you can clearly see it. I mean, he's turned Notts into a very patient, methodical, a very attractive passing team. Just how good of a coach is he?
You can tell that his sessions are put on based on what's coming up in terms of the games. He's not someone who will have you will do the same kind... I don't know how to describe it. You won't do the same thing day in, day out, but your sessions will be similar, but he'll tailor them slightly based on the opposition we've got coming up, or if there's something that he thinks we need to improve on. And like you said, you end up getting that kind of pattern within it, and you start understanding the positions, and that's good in terms of any players that change position, or if a player comes into the team or out of the team. Most of us now are starting to know, well, if I'm playing that position, this is my role, this is what I need to do for the team. And that only comes from what we do on the training ground all the time, and the gaffer's kind of belief, and he lets us do it with no pressure. If we make mistakes, then as long as we're making mistakes, trying what we are wanting to do and the plan that we're wanting to do, he doesn't have a problem with that. And that helps everyone knowing their role and responsibility within the team, depending on what position or formation or tactics, or even kind of just what game situation requires.
And I've got to ask you, how much you relish in your time here at Notts County? I mean, you've made that number one position your own. You have 7 or 8 out of 10 every week. How much are you enjoying life at Notts County at present?
Yeah, I have to say I'm really enjoying it here. I think the people around the club make a massive difference. That's the squad, the management, but as well as the staff behind the scenes. It is a very friendly club, and people here, you get the feeling that everyone's doing something to try and help everyone else. It's not a case of, well, I'm just doing my job, don't worry about yours. Everything is for each other, and I'm really enjoying that. I think another thing I should touch on is that in terms of my position, the way I'm playing and my performances, that's not just necessarily on me. You have to speak about the quality of training sessions that Jake puts on, as well as the other goalies within the squad, what we had last year and what we've had this year. I mean, Mac has gone on and done really well for Eastleigh. He was brilliant over here. We've got Tiernan that's coming through. Hopefully, myself and Luke are helping the education of Tiernan, and one of my kind of things that I would like is I want to see goalies that I've worked with as them being youngsters kind of come through and play. We've got someone, Jack Stevens is playing at Oxford at the minute, that he was a first or second year scholar while I was there. He's come on and done really well. There was a lad I worked with at Blackpool that's gone on to South Shields. He's playing really well and playing week in, week out, and I still speak to him a lot. Another lad's up in Scotland. So that's one of the big things for me. I want to be able to have provided an environment and an opportunity for the goalies around me to improve and learn from me as much as I learn from them. And same with Luke coming in. He's come in, and his qualities that he has are maybe not my strengths, but I'm learning from him and things like that. And the group to work in is brilliant, and that is what kind of helps performance on a Saturday.
In terms of your career, how does it sort of compare with other clubs? Would you say this is the happiest you've been in your career so far in terms of playing and how settled you are off the pitch?
It's definitely up there. I would rank it alongside season at Blackpool was very similar, and a couple of the seasons at Scunthorpe was very similar. And that's probably because I've got a lot more, not time away from football, but when I am away from football, I'm close to family and things like that. I can go and see them whenever I like. I'm not away from home, which for a lot of lads, that might not be a problem, or it happens a lot. I'm at that stage now where I'm fortunate enough to be able to say this afternoon, if I go home, I want to pop and see my mum, I can, because she's just round the corner. That helps me. But it also helps that the club is wanting to be successful, wanting to play an attractive style of football, and allowing players to make errors. It's going to happen. And the more that you allow it, I think the less the errors will happen, as long as they're trying the right things and you improve as a squad. And that's a really good thing, and that's allowed me to kind of be able to put the performances in, week out, that I have been able to do. So yeah, I am really enjoying it here, and I would like to extend that. I'd like to stay here for longer, and if that's the case.
You're out of contract in the summer, aren't you? Is that right?
Yeah, my contract will be up in the summer.
Have you spoken to the club about extending that yet, or is that something that you'd quite happily sit down and do now if they wanted to do it?
I haven't spoken to them just yet. It's difficult in this kind of period from the club's point of view, not necessarily mine. I mean, if they came to me and they wanted to speak to me, I would very much sit down and would have a look, because I am enjoying it here a lot. But I do understand that from a club's point of view, it's not an easy time to do it in terms of the pandemic and the kind of... We're at a point in the league where you would imagine, as long as we continue performing how we do, there could be two very clear scenarios come the end of the season.
Yeah. Just on terms of the results, I mean, how impressive has it been really when you look at the injury problems that the club has had as well? I mean, no Callum Roberts for a considered length of time, no Wes Thomas. I mean, we've just heard the news about Damien McCrory, which is a huge blow. Just how impressive has it been that the players that have come in have stepped up to the mark and sort of carried on that good form?
Yeah, you just touched on a few players there. Like, they're obviously very important players within our squad. Callum's a match winner. He was fantastic since he signed. Damien, you know what you're going to get from him week in, week out. So to have a bit more long-term injuries from those two guys, I think, has Callum played, 3 or 4 games this season? Is that it?
6 games this season.
6 games, and for a player as influential in a game as him to only play that amount of games, and us still be in the position that we are, says a huge amount about the players that have come in and their kind of their attitude, willing and wanting to take the opportunity they've got. I think Dion's come in and done fantastic, and that's helped kind of not having Damien for so long, the way that he's performed, because Damien is another big miss. I don't know whether you guys think that or...
Damien's one of those players, isn't he? As I said, 7, 8 out of 10 every week, and just never lets you down, whether it be left back or left centre half.
He's that guy that he can't play at 80% because of how he plays the game. He is always 100% in it, and he's brilliant. So to miss him for so long as well, I mean, I feel a little bit for Damien because it has been a difficult situation in terms of the injury he's had. He's gave it plenty of time to recover and come back, and then it's not quite been right. So from a mental point of view, I'm sure it's a really difficult time for him, and he knows that the lads in the dressing room, they're really behind him and hoping that whatever happens going forward is for the best for him.